Greg Litz, owner of RJ Capital. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's nice to have you here. We've known each other for a long time. We go back maybe 12 years or so.
Or at least, right.
The first question that I think most people would have is why and why now?
There wasn't an overnight reason, but it certainly was a cumulative kind of what I could see as our growth flattening out, and it became a bandwidth issue for me, right? And I felt like maybe I'm not spending enough time with my clients, and maybe I'm not spending enough time prospecting.
Was there a spark? Did you have a moment where you thought, were you up at midnight doing billing or something, and you just said, man, I just can't do this anymore?
Usually, Jim, it revolved around compliance, right? And spending so much time in compliance reviews with our attorneys, in new compliance coming on board, and wondering, okay, what are the big guys going to do, and how can I still compete with them from a marketing standpoint?
But you're wearing multiple hats.
Indeed, right? And that's the issue, right?
Trading and billing and compliance.
Correct.
Was the compliance the last straw that kind of broke the...
It is, and because you can see the liability around it if it's not done right? So it's something that can keep you up at night, and what that does is then take that worry. It takes from worrying about that. You'll, instead of worrying for your clients, that's what we're paid to do, is worry for our clients.
Right. And was the thought that, if I don't get rid of some of these other hats that I'm wearing, that it's going to slow my growth, and maybe besides that, I won't do a good job of compliance in some of these other areas that you're having to fill in?
Well, certainly it bleeds through, right? So if you can't spend enough time on that, then something's going to slip through the cracks. I think that's what scares you more than anything else, is like catching what keeps you up at night. What would wake me up at night once a quarter in stress would be, I'm missing something. What am I missing? Right. And ultimately you go to the office and you realize you're not missing anything, but what you are doing is not spending enough time growing your business. And the whole idea is to grow our clients and to be able to get to what our goals are, right? We work with our clients to build their goals and objectives, and we have to do that for ourselves too as business owners.
Right. Well, I think people get excited about joining other firms and getting rid of some of these hats they have to wear, but there must be some hesitations as well. Some concerns that, hey, I'm giving up control at the same time, right? You have control, now you're having to give it up. What are some of the hesitations?
For sure. I mean, look, on the front end, it's always nice to be wanted, right? And it's kind of nice to feel like your firm is decent and that people want you. But the fact is, there were concerns behind it, and like, what control am I giving up? What does this mean for the legacy that you're trying to build for you and your clients? But a lot of it revolves around lifestyle reasons, right? A lot of us are RIAs because there's a specific lifestyle that goes with that. And do I lose that with a bigger firm?
Right.
That's the big question.
Yeah.
Because rarely is it about money. It's more about, what control do I give up? But maybe that control you're giving up is a good thing, right? Maybe they can do that better.
Sure. Is there a particular thing that you're looking for in a partnership? Is there something where you say, this really puts it over the top, and that's what's going to tilt me in this direction?
We've talked to several firms, and it kind of boils down to the cultural aspect of it. Are these guys and are these men and women who you want to be around and who are most like you, right? Do their philosophies match up?
Sure.
Can you, grow faster than what you can as me as RJ Capital and still be happy?
So let's talk about that. You've got, sort of the culture, but then you've also got, investment philosophy and sort of the planning side of it. What type of clients you attract and how the firm represents itself. All of those probably matter.
They do, because some of the pieces that we just don't have as a smaller firm. Some of these larger firms have that, and it would take years to build that out. Even I consider us a smaller shop, but even at $350 million shop, you just can't. You'd have to throw a lot of bodies and money to get to where you have grown into, whether it be independent financial planning, whether it be a team of asset managers. Because remember, I'm wearing all those hats.
Sure.
So as the industry changes over time, these services you're going to have to offer them.
And I know you can that. And I know you can outsource some of that. There's third-party solutions. It gets pretty expensive, and from what I've seen, you can't really customize it.
Indeed, and is it as personal, right? When you can have a client and walk down the hall, and those professionals are there.
Right there, yeah.
That's can change a person's mind, especially if on the prospecting front, but certainly makes a client feel comfortable.
Yeah. So let's talk about the most important aspect of this, and that is, how does your wife feel about all this?
Yeah. So the I should back up. The initials of my firm, RJ Capital, RJ, are the initials of my children, Reagan
Right.
and Jackson. So there's some ownership there, right, that she has because she's had to sacrifice over the years of me being out of the house, and whether it prospecting or going to client meetings, she has a lot of sweat equity into it as well. Maybe not in the office, but at home she does. So yeah, there's a concern there, right? Because there's some pride in that her and I have been able to build this up, and we have great relationships with our clients. So the concern is, do we give that up? Are we walking into something that we're ultimately 5 years down the road be very uncomfortable with?
Right.
But that's why it's important to get it right on the front end, right? You need to know these people that you're possibly be working with.
Right. So the vetting process, there's a lot of firms out there doing this, aggregating. What was your process in selecting maybe sort of a short list of firms to talk to?
Yeah, the big box kind of aggregators I wasn't interested in. I've never been interested in going back to the broker dealers. That's not like the Merrills of the world. It's just I'm more of a pure RIA guy. I always tell the story that, and I've told you this before too, that the country song that says I was country before country was cool. I was an RIA before RIAs were cool, and so I will always wear that hat. So the issue for me was choosing a firm that I think is growing fast to where my equity can grow faster than what it is now, and that the people are the right people, right? So I wasn't interested in the big aggregators either of RIA shops. It was more kind of, do you look locally and do you look nationally? And then you start weeding out, okay, here's a couple of national firms I like, here's a couple of local firms I like. That's where the conversation started.
So right now you're kind of in that process, and thankfully, because we saw each other at a conference, we started talking, and I realized you were in this process, and kind of threw our hat in the ring. And I think as this plays out, it'll be interesting to see what direction you take.
The people side is a pretty easy fit, right? I can already tell that from what we've talked about and visited about. Um, it's the devil is always in the details when you start getting closer and closer to forming a relationship. Um, the people part works out pretty simple. You can tell that up front.
Sure. Well, Greg, we're really excited that you're letting us have a behind the scenes look at this process. Thanks for coming by today.
Of course. Thank you.